Welcome to WROL Broadcast Magic ManaStrike Edition. I am Hate Mail, and with me today we have Ogre Barbarian, the world famous Ogre Barbarian, and the slightly less famous but just as grumpy
We still
DoomBawkz.
love him.
Yep,
Actually, I
that's
don't think
me.
anybody's as grumpy as Ogre, but
Yeah, Grumper's the
I'm
ultimate
pretty
grump.
grumpy. I'm also very arrogant, apparently.
yeah, extremely arrogant.
Yeah.
Tisk tisk.
But today we are going to be talking about, we kind of went back and forth on topics. We were going to have a guest, ManaStrike GG, but he wasn't able to make today, so
Yeah.
hopefully we'll be able to do something with him tomorrow. So I look forward to having him on. And we will
Also
be
known as
talking,
next week.
yeah, maybe we'll record tomorrow and it'll be for next
Well, I
week's episode.
mean, even if we record tomorrow, it'll be next week's episode.
Yeah.
So,
And then today we want to talk about a couple topics. One, we want to talk about DoomBawkz's Weenie deck, and we
Zach.
will and we'll also talk about cheap or more common cards that you definitely want to rank up. So with that, a deck that DoomBawkz has been playing, but he's trying to keep hidden, that I have a lot of fun with, but I don't have Blinding Mage, so I've noticed that it struggles a little bit against certain comps that I've watched some of your videos, Doom, and it does much better, but not having that Blinding Mage I feel like hurts me.
Oh yeah, I mean that was a pretty cold open from a weenie, but I guess we'll make it do. Um, so weenie deck basically the long and short of it is your very basic, simple stall style deck. Of course you're running a mostly white composition, knight, barracks, and blinding mage, of course, and the like. Um, But outside of that, you really can flex in basically whatever you want on the outside. Like you could run it white
Can,
black, white red, white blue.
can we rewind for half a second
Sure.
and actually explain, like, what you are using? You have a Dovin that you have set up to be this deck,
Oh,
right?
well, I mean, me personally, I use specifically knight, what's it called, ratchet bomb, barracks, blinding mage, sanctifier of souls, or sacrificer, whichever one of the two it is. Um, And really, the other two cards are more or less flexed in. Like I run Riddle Keeper and Prismatic Flip over to the other lane, Magic one cost spell card.
Are you still
But
running
Retraction
Core
Relic.
Entangler or no?
well, I mean, everyone runs Core Entangler. I thought that went without saying. But,
Okay. You were
Clearly, you
anti-core
have
a
to say
long
it.
time ago.
but so basically, the long and short of it, I mean, at least the theory behind my deck is simply the idea of wave tactics. You just keep spitting stuff into lanes until you eventually kill a tower, and then you spit a lot more stuff into lanes to make sure they can't take a tower. And then that's that. Of course, it does struggle against any kind of AoE damage. You're looking at Circle of Pain, what is it, the Rolling Slime. I mean,
Which
even stuff as simple as other people's Scud missiles will kill it, but, you know, at the
AKA
same
Ratchet
time,
Bomb.
yeah, Ratchet Bomb, sorry. That way have Sacrificer of Souls to some degree is to alleviate that, but really the bigger part of the strategy, something that a lot of people don't catch on to until it's too late, is setting up a huge swarm that demands an answer in one lane, and then setting up a barracks in the other, and then just slapping a white mage down behind it. Because Blinding Mage has enough range to poke down towers, and a lot of people will just put down like one or two things to answer it. You know, oh, I'll drop some Hadron Scouts, no worries. But the barracks keeps spitting out guys that get in the way, and of course he does a pretty fair amount of damage in the meantime.
I was actually
Um,
surprised at how well this deck does. You actually went you're at rank 7 now, or you're almost to rank 7, just
I'm
messing around
about
with this.
100 points away from rank 7 just from casually playing. So, yeah,
Do you
it's
ever
one
run
of
into
those
this at
things.
your rank, Ogre, at all?
Not really. At the higher ranks, it gets a lot harder to play a spawner style deck
Hmm.
because
Yeah,
cards are a lot easier to answer. Like you
once I hit,
said, it
uh,
struggles against certain mechanics. And guess what? At the higher ranks, everybody has those. So,
yeah, I was going to say, as I was climbing up and up higher and higher into rank 6, more and more and more people just have one or two really stable AoE answer cards. Of course, that being said, the flex card really is a pretty big deal in the deck because you're able to adjust in basically whatever you like. For example, occasionally I'll run in the Goblin Artillery, run a second Siege in there, and that can really mix some people up. But my favorite so far is putting in the Sphinx of the Final Word, because typically the best answer to the thing is, okay, well, I'm just going to push down all these weak guys and counter push. Well, Sphinx drops in, and then all of a sudden your counter push is significantly less impactful, and then down drops Dovin to debuff you and zap you with his little helicopters. So, honestly, it's pretty good. I would say that I could probably make it to Ogre's rank with it, but it would just be progressively more difficult to do so. But
I am rank 8, if anybody was curious.
It is a pretty good deck for beginners because a lot of people at the lower ranks won't have the means or the card power to answer that big of a swarm. So if you're just starting out, it's really not a bad plan to load up those barracks, load up those common cards, Hadron Scouts, the Guardian, and then just really work on a nice progressive push to get yourself up in the ranks so you can get the cards you actually want.
Are you running Spectral Procession at all in it? Are you forgoing that?
That's the Ghost Spawn, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, God, no. Why would I ever do that?
Yeah, I think he mostly forwent it because you don't need it in that style of deck.
Yeah, because it's more of a, how do you say, slow burn?
Yeah.
Slow ramp, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I notice when
And
I play it,
plus-
a lot of times you feel like you're like, oh gosh, I lost a tower, I'm gonna lose, and then all of a sudden it just overcomes. Especially
Yeah,
once the mana burn starts.
one of those things that it's really, really easy to draw out the opponent to overexerting themselves, which it's a playstyle you really don't see a lot of in a lot of other decks when they're fighting one another. It's usually who has the tallest, biggest, beefiest guy. But with this deck, if your opponent starts dropping down the Planeswalkers to answer your push, and you're able to stop them without having to use yours, then there'll come a point where you'll have full advantage because you can just drop down your Planeswalker over and over, and they don't have one to answer. And that makes a huge difference.
I'm
But
having fun with it. I like it. It's a fun deck. Though I'm lacking Blinding Mage, so I feel like that's holding me back a little bit.
it's
So I haven't.
holding you back a lot.
Yeah, once I get him, I'm gonna go back to it. But I'm thinking about after watching some of Ogre's videos, I'm thinking about selling out and going to Chandra for a while, just to try to build up some of my rare
So
card drops.
I'm gonna just guess this right now, but there's gonna be at least 2 cards that are changed in the end of season patch, and that would be
You think so?
Blinding Mage and Sauron.
Probably.
Mm,
At the very minimum, those 2 cards are changing. I'm guessing, just guessing.
that sounds like a safe guess, though I don't know why they would change Blinding Mage. He's fair. He's not too bad.
When I see people
Slight
talking about
reduction.
which ones they want to see nerfed, I always see that name pop up.
I would say slight reduction in either the range or the damage, one or the other. Not a huge nerf, but like a slight reduction.
Maybe to attack speed is what I would guess, because
Yeah, and that
range.
counts as part of the damage in my book. So
Oh, I thought you meant damage per hit, and I was like, I hope not. He already doesn't do that much, but
no, damage per second.
right. That's what I would assume, because it feels like they kind of did the range purposefully for him to be more or less the white Steve
No,
Jobs.
absolutely. Yeah,
So-
absolutely.
But personally, if I had to see a card that I wanted to see taken down a notch or two, it would either be the Sacrificer Demon
Reaver
or
Demon?
what's a guy called that? You summon him and you eat all your units and he gets big and beefy.
The Reaver Demon.
Yeah, that's the one. I wouldn't mind seeing him take a hit personally. I mean,
I kind of
just 'cause
expect
it's
Circle of
like-
Pain to maybe take a little bit of a hit.
Oh, I mean, I'd always be happy to see Circle of Pain take a hit because I play Weenie, so it's like, But then again,
if
I'd be
it
happy to see
does, it'll be the slow that it provides. I think if it does.
It does seem to
I
last
mean,
a
I'd
really
be-
long time. Maybe the duration.
I'd be fine with whatever.
Maybe
I
it's the
just want
duration,
my
yeah.
weenie to be free to roam.
We need to have
Doom
Kage on
doing
this
his best to get
episode.
us demonetized.
But
Yeah.
it's not like I'm talking about the other. You know what I mean? It's yeah. But no, it's if they actually do some kind of nerf to any kind of AoE crowd control or damage, it'll be nice for me, but it's something that I highly doubt just because the game already feels like it doesn't have enough of it to answer a lot of pushes. So
Yeah.
I think this is the type of game I'm pretty sure they're probably going to do. I wonder what kind of, actually, that's a good question. What do you guys think they're going to do for expansions for this game? Like, how often do you think we're going to see new cards added, new planeswalkers added?
I'm gonna say Planeswalkers monthly,
Okay. Do you think we'll get one or
just
two?
I
because that's how long the season is. I would say one or two because it seems like the Magic Pass, the way it's set up, is they're gonna have a new Planeswalker with each one.
Okay.
yeah,
Well, then they
I'd
released
say
that
that's right.
that green white guy as well.
Calyx, yeah.
Yeah, they released Calyx too, so that was two they released already
hmm
right out of the gate, like new.
So my guess is that they're gonna release some sort of monocolor as the pass, and then some sort of dual color as the purchase for gems.
Do you think we're ever gonna get tricolor or beyond?
That is a good question, and it's hard to say because there's not a ton of them in Magic history to begin with. So
Well, and also the tricolor you would think would have unless they were very weak, it would feel like they would have such a big advantage over the other colors.
I mean,
why?
you'd
You'd still
think
play
so.
mono white.
Yeah, like that's the thing I've
Like that's the
noticed is that
problem.
my deck, it's strong, quote unquote strong, but it uses 6/7 of it as white cards. I could easily flex in another white card and be fine.
Yeah, but
So
if you could, flex in, like the best card from a different color on top of the other best card from a different color and go all white, then
eh.
it
I mean,
depends.
the
I guess it
worst that
depends
I
on the
could see
planeswalker skill.
happening would be something
Yeah,
like
it really is dependent on the Planeswalker.
I would say probably the worst combination possible that they could release that would unbalance the game would probably be something like white, blue, and black. Just spawn out 5 trillion things and then have your demon floating around times 20 and one-shotting towers.
Yeah, that would be. I could see that being pretty bad.
It would be hilarious, though. I would love to watch a video of that.
The the other question is, what about cards? What do we think they're going to do for that? Are they going to do like cards that match, kind of like you see with deck different releases?
That's it's tricky to figure out their cards because there weren't any cards, quote unquote, released that I could tell.
Well, they're
But
gonna. I mean,
I'm not sure.
that's going to be the moneymaker.
Well, no, they're absolutely going to. I'm not sure when or how they're going to do it. Are they going to release 5 cards at a time and put one in each color? Are they going to do, maybe we eventually get gold cards and they're 2 colors innately.
You know
That'd be
what?
interesting.
Dual-colored cards would be pretty cool to have. I'm not going to lie.
That would be interesting.
So I don't know what they're going to do, but we're only in the first month, so
Yeah,
there's a lot
just
of things
I
that
don't know.
could
I
happen.
hadn't even thought about it until we had this conversation. So I thought it'd be interesting.
Oh yeah, no, I think there's a lot of potential here.
I'd like to see them release cards monthly, but I'd be okay with them doing it kind of like Hearthstone does, where every 3 months they do a big patch with tons of new cards.
hmm
So I could go either or.
And that may be what happens with the cards, but I'm still guessing Planeswalkers are going to be one.
Yeah, I think you're right. Planeswalkers will definitely be, because that's easier to do.
Yeah.
Pretty
Also,
much-
speaking of Planeswalkers that we need a red-black Planeswalker, Dagnabbit.
I don't think
No,
we
we
do.
don't. Yeah, I don't think we do.
I don't want to see it. I don't want to face it.
In fact, if they wanted to remove every single red and black planeswalker from the game, I would be fine with that.
Well, of course you would, you commie jerkwads.
Yeah, just need a good old white on blue and white on white and blue on blue, all that good stuff. That's all we need. Maybe some green sprinkled in there for flavor.
Well, speaking of red, I'm as I mentioned, my blinding mage lack thereof. I'm thinking about busting out a red deck because I always liked red was my second favorite color behind white, and so I'm putting together a red deck. School me through which cards I want to have in this deck, Ogre.
All right, so we're tier listing all 21 cards or whatever that can be
Well, yeah,
had
just
in a red deck.
if you were to, I'm at rank 5 currently, not far from rank 6. What would you tell me to put
All
in my
right,
deck
so
right now?
I'll tell you the deck that I use, and I'll
Okay.
tell you the flex slot and how I look at it.
Okay.
Okay, so the core of the deck is Haunted Guardian, Hedron Scouts, Shock, uh, Ashcloud Phoenix. I don't have the deck in front of me, so I'm trying to do this off of
Okay.
memory. Sorry. um,
No, I saw
Hellrider is the
one.
flex.
I see a lot of decks. Sorry to interrupt you for a second, but I see a lot of people say that I see a lot of the decks don't have Hedron Scout, but then a lot of the people on the Reddit board say that Hedron Scout should be in every single deck. What's your guys' takes on that?
I'm on the. They should be in every deck.
I feel like
They
they
are
should
one
be in
mana
most
for a
decks.
lot of DPS.
It's one of those things, if it fits with your deck's style in a general sense, you should put it in. But if you're going for something very specific where you don't have the flex room to use it, then it's not necessary. But if you can, you should.
I haven't used them in a while. That's why I was asking.
Yeah, they're very squishy, but they have a lot of DPS.
Okay. Okay,
Oh,
so sorry to interrupt, but I had Haunted Guardian, Hedron
no, you're fine.
Scouts. Then what else did you have?
Ashcloud Phoenix, Shock,
Yeah.
Goblin Artillery. That's 5. Um, Comet Storm and Hellrider is what I'm currently running. I find that Hellrider and Comet Storm are kind of the flex slots because the
Okay.
rest of it is more of the core of the deck. The Hellrider is the one that I've been actually subbing out, oddly enough, and I subbed in the Swashbuckler because the piercing damage that he does is really good against Orin deck. So that was something that I've noticed. I've also had several games that I've shared with you guys where I've won just because of Comet Storm.
Wow.
Like I have had no business winning these matches, and I've won because I've had a Comet Storm in my deck.
I don't think I have Hellrider. Maybe he's a rank 6
He's
character.
the
Oh,
big
there he
guy
is. Never
on
mind.
the like
I
little
got him.
beastie
I got him.
thing. I was gonna say he's like one of the first cards you get.
Yeah, I do have him. He was already in my slots. I didn't see him.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
walk
That's
us
that's
through
what I've
your
been using. So
general plan, Ogre. What are you doing with these degenerate cards?
it's degenerate cards. All right. So basically, what it is, you're gonna respond to your opponent's push with your Haunted Guardian up front, your Chandra behind the tower, your Ashcloud Phoenix behind the tower. You're going to use your Hedron Scouts and your Hellrider. Once those 3 have cleared out your opponent, you're going to drop your Hellrider and your Hedron Scouts so that they're going to rush the other tower while those guys are walking up behind them to support. So they're your faster units. They're going to get in, hit the tower quick and hard, while the Haunted Guardian, the Chandra, and the Ashcloud Phoenix are walking up to support them. Chandra is one of the faster planeswalkers, so she gets up there pretty quickly. She can also close gaps really well with her skill because it's a jump. So whenever I drop Chandra, I try to drop her in a manner where her enter play Phoenix will clip the tower so that you can get a little bit of extra damage on it. Whenever I have a push like that going on, I also try to drop the Goblin Artillery in the off lane to just get some chip damage in where I can. Whenever I have Comet Storm in my hand, I try to do it for about 2 minutes, and that drops 4 meteors onto towers at random. But if you do it at 1 mana, it only drops 1 meteor. So you want to do it for 2 or more. Generally, 2 to 3 is where I try to do it at, just to get a little bit of damage here and there. And late in the game, you can drop a big one and just close out a game real quick with that. So that's generally my tactic, is the chip down and counter push.
Yeah, I noticed you have a lot of
So
characters in here that only do damage to buildings.
yeah,
Yeah, and that is one of the downfalls of the deck, is if you don't time it right, you're not going to have any of your defending cards up to defend with. And that is a problem the deck can run into. It's just learning how to cycle through your cards properly.
I imagine it must also be a small issue if the opponent has placeable buildings like lightning towers, skull catapults, and the such, that your creatures might just go whipping off to the side and completely miss the main tower.
Yeah, but at the same time, because of the amount of DPS that Hellrider and the Hedron Scouts have, they can burst through that pretty quickly and then make their way back to the tower. As long as the support is there to keep the rest of the enemy off them, they can burst through a building pretty quickly.
And you rely on your
So,
Swashbuckler and your own Phoenix to deal with the other flying units.
Yeah. You rely on Chandra, your Phoenix, the Swashbuckler. Like, those are your anti-air units. And basically what it is if they have, like, a really big Reaver Demon coming in, I'll drop a Haunted Guardian towards the middle of the map, draw it over to it, and then have my ranged support units and my tower take out the Reaver Demon over time, as the Haunted Guardian just gets poked by the big flying dum-dum.
Well, I'm gonna have to try her today after I watch a few of your videos.
Yeah, no problem.
It's been a little while since I've only played her once when the game first started. I think it was the first character I played, and then I switched to white and haven't looked back.
Well, yeah, because she's, like, you kind of are forced to play her in the tutorial, but then
Yeah.
after that, you don't have to.
So Ogre, let's say that I was a newer player who was struggling against decks like that, because a lot of the cards you listed off are actually available pretty early on.
Yeah, a lot of them are.
What would be your advice to those players for maybe overcoming or having a better chance against your deck?
Okay, it is a very strong deck early on. I'm not going to lie. There's not a lot of way around some of the things. One of the big ones is Hellrider, because when he jumps to the building, he has an AoE that does damage. So you have to get used to putting your things a little bit away from your tower to not get hit by that. So if you're going to drop a Hedron Scout to defend against the Hellrider, you're going to drop them a little forward and try to, like, screen and get in the way of the Hellrider. Instead of dropping them at the tower, they're just going to get blown up by the Hellrider when he jumps in.
Now, does the Hellrider do damage to units or just the building with his AoE?
When he jumps and hits the building, it AoE hits all units, too.
Oh, cool.
Stuns them also.
Yeah, it stuns them, too. For just a brief second. But yeah, it's really nasty what he does. Like, he hits buildings only, but that AoE can hit units. So it blows up Hedron Scouts and I think the Clockwork Scarabs or Beetles or whatever, because they're squishier. But yeah, he can clear out smaller units around towers if you're not careful. So you want to place them a little bit further out and be aware of what that radius is.
That's also, if you're
So that's
playing
one.
Chandra, if you see a bunch of people being spawned around the building, that's a good time to summon him and let him jump to it.
Yes. And mostly the short answer on how to play against a Chandra deck is learn positioning and timing. Because if a lot of Chandra decks are probably playing a little bit looser, so you're going to be rewarded for playing tight, playing, in a manner that's beneficial to corralling, essentially. But they do have a lot of just damage to the building only, so even if you do play tight, you may not win. That's just the nature of how they play, unfortunately.
Let me ask you a couple super noob questions, slightly off topic. When is the reset? When does this game reset?
I want to say it's at like 1 a.m. for me, which is 4 a.m. Eastern.
That's what I thought it might be, but I really wasn't sure. I was having a hard time figuring that out.
Yeah, I want to say it's then.
I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter in a lot of aspects because, like, your battle reward.
Well, there's a couple of different resets. One of them is the reset to earn your battle rewards, but you can stack them, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I was gonna say you
And
get
then
5 and then it ends and it starts over.
right, and you can stack them. So if you miss a day, you have 10 reward now instead of 5.
Right.
So, like, it does stack. I don't know what the limit is on it. I think it's 2 or 3. But
Doom, you might know. 'Cause you
anyway.
took like 5 days off at one point. Did that did that stack up for you? Do you remember? Oh, he's on silent, so he must have had to talk to somebody. Maybe somebody.
Probably.
He's at somebody's house.
He got distracted by another pug.
So. My other question is a super noob question, and I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this, but for anybody who might be wondering, when you're putting your cards in your deck, the arrangement doesn't matter because they draw randomly when you play, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, and also to answer your previous question, the maximum stack count is 3, I believe.
Okay. So that makes sense. You don't want to miss more than 3 days in a row.
Yeah, typically.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then I tried the event today. I noticed the first 3 battles is just against
It's rough.
the first 3 battles are against the AI, and the AI doesn't summon any units, so that part was easy. But then once you get to the actual sealed deck tournament, oh my gosh, I just got I can't even get one win. I got a really bad
It
draw.
was
Though.
rough.
Yeah,
I considered myself having a decent deck in the field,
Yeah.
and I got just blown up because guess what? There's people who got Blinding Mage or Core Entangler or both, and
I was
it's like, how am I supposed to fight a meta deck with my garbage?
Yeah.
I was going to say, I was one of those folks who got both, and I basically stopped playing after my 3rd win in a row, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm bored.
The rewards don't seem like they're that fantastic, but it's hard to say. I guess.
Well, what was the total on it?
Well, I mean, I guess
It
you get a
wasn't
decent
that
amount of gold,
high.
but you get
Not really.
Yeah, I mean, you don't even get a decent amount, but it looks like you get uncommon, and then you have a 56% chance to get a bonus. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know how it stacks as you go.
Yeah.
Honestly,
It just goes up little by little every one of them. So
it's valuable, which is a weird thing to say in this circumstance because you're going to get blown up if you don't know what you're doing. But I feel like it's more valuable for newer players who maybe don't have access to all the cards they need because it can get them enough gold to level up their things while also giving them a chance to play around with some of the options that are out there.
Yeah.
yeah.
I did it just because I was trying to get Blinding Mage, so I was hoping that maybe I'd get lucky and he'd drop. But
You're gonna have to break down and just spend like 6,000 gold in the shop one day, and
I haven't seen him. He hasn't showed up to spend the 6,000 gold to buy him. I'd buy him the minute I see him.
said one day.
Yeah.
I said one day. I didn't. It'll be like year 3, but it's fine.
Honestly, it's a shame that you can't request from your team cards you don't have because I've given away like 3 Blinding Mage cards so far.
Oh, dude, everybody requests Blinding Mage.
I've actually
think
only
that's
seen him
like
requested
errors.
once today, but
Well, that's because people finally stopped. But I think that right there is an indicator that there's a problem with the card. Is if everybody's requesting Blinding Mage.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's a problem with the card because keeping in mind, white is very much the best color, I would say, with red as a close
Well,
second.
that's the problem. Is that the white cards are so powerful.
yeah, I thought black was considered
that's No, black is considered like the middle of the road.
Well, I guess it's just because of Soren.
I want to say like overall power level. Yeah, it's Soren, and he plays mono white. He doesn't play black.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
You're literally using Soren because of his interplay ability.
Yeah.
That's it. Also, that's the part of him that I think is going to get nerfed is the interplay. They're going to give it a timer and not make it like last forever.
Gotcha.
You're probably right.
But
honestly,
anyway,
I've been so tempted to just give in to the dark side and use Sword because in my deck, dude, his in-play ability would be so stupid, but I just can't bring myself to do it. I can't sell out. I can't
do that much cheese.
I tried to use green just because I wanted to be a contrarian with it, but I'm not good enough at the game to make a bad deck work, so.
We can work on that.
Yeah. I gotta get better at the game first before I can start playing around with stuff like that, but.
I mean, white and green is crazy good once you get to rank 6 because that Devouring Slime card that goes down lane and then spits out some slime, but also does hella damage, is
Yeah,
crazy
the rolling slime.
good. Yeah, when you combine it with things like the Sacrificer of Souls, because then every single slime that dies spawns a ghost. And
Yeah.
it's just like, oh yeah, that's the stuff.
I don't
Combine
know.
it with the other slime as well. Like,
Yeah, just
because each time he pops and spots 2 more, then you'll also get another soul for that too. It's kind of
Mhm.
silly.
I feel
it's
like
gonna be like Nickelodeon guts in the bottom.
But Doom, if you played Black White, you have the Sanctifier of Souls that you're talking about getting you spirits. You also
Yeah.
have Zombie upon top of that, which would spawn you zombies. So you'd have zombies and spirits and your dudes, and you'd be like rolling.
I think your headset came undone, Ogre.
Oh, I think it died.
Oh, okay. That's all right.
Womp womp. But anyways, the whole point of it is I just do not want to use white black. I just can't. I just can't.
Well, on that note, since Ogre lost his headset anyway, let's
Hold on.
call it a day because we're gonna need a little long anyway.
There, I should be on push to talk now.
But
All right. Well, I mean, it was fun. I liked coming in and waving my
yeah,
weenie in front of everyone so they could see it.
we appreciate you sharing your weenie with the world.
Well, I'm glad you appreciate it. Honestly, it's something that more people should be seeing and putting their hands on, I think.
All right, guys. Well, we'll wrap it up there with that. With those wonder. Now that we've made most of our audience feel very unclean, and Ogre, we don't hear you, so maybe you're on push to talk, or but with that, we'll sign out.
I'm on push to talk now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we're signing out.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.